All right, welcome back to the show. We're now looking at my personal, it'd be weird if it wasn't, Honda Interceptor. It's 2014, and we're going to talk about it. But first, let's hear it a little bit. Yeah, you'll get a little bit more of it later, but I got to get moving because it's currently hot as hell. I don't want my camera to shut down. So let's get out of here and go hit a twisty road, shall we? All right, so let's dive right in. This is the 2014 Honda VFR 800 Interceptor, not the deluxe edition. This is just the base model Interceptor. A little bit of background about my riding history, because I think that is helpful to kind of color my opinions a bit. Let these cars get ahead of me. I have owned four motorcycles in a little bit over 3 years, like 3 years, 6 months. I've owned a lot of bikes. The first one was a Harley Street 750. It was a 2015 or 2016. It's just an entry-level cruiser that I got because I wanted to start riding. Then after that, I got a 2017 Harley-Davidson Street Rod. Now the Street Rod is essentially just a upgraded, it almost looks kind of like a naked bike version of the Street 750. Then after that, I had the Honda 919, the Hornet. It was a 2007, and I had that for almost a year, 9 months. Got that one used because I wanted something a little bit different, a little bit more power, and a little bit more ability to kind of just throw around in a canyon. Just a little bit more sporty feel, but without being super tucked in. Then I got this because I've always wanted a proper sport bike. And this is my only bike now. I actually sold the 919 and I sold the Harleys. Usually I sold one to get the next. So I have just the one bike. So what was my thought process getting this motorcycle? Well, the thought process is I have the financial ability to maintain one motorcycle. I have a car as well. So I want to have a motorcycle and a car, and I don't want to be paying for A, the insurance, B, all the costs and so forth associated with having multiple motorcycles. So I wanted a bike that could do everything that I wanted a motorcycle to do. Now, for those of y'all who are watching the channel as a result of the Elite Dangerous stuff, or maybe you haven't ever ridden a bike before, what do you want a motorcycle to do? Well, first of all, it's a method of transport, so you want it to be comfortable, right? You're getting from point A to point B, so you want to be comfortable while you're doing it. Second of all, motorcycles are really beyond the obvious nature of getting from point A to point B. Motorcycles are kind of about having a good time. You know, there's a big culture that surrounds motorcycling that is mostly just about going out and having fun. I'm a part of a riding group that we get together every Tuesday and have a beer and a burger, and there's no riding involved. We're just there having a chat, and then on Saturdays we go out and ride in the country. So you want a bike that's gonna be able to have some fun. And finally, I wanted something that is unique. I enjoy having things that are different. Everybody's got a Yamaha R6, or everyone's got an FZ07, or everyone's got a Sportster. Not everyone has an Interceptor. So I chose that based on those three things. It's comfortable, it's fun, and it's unique. The main thing that makes it unique, and I'll let you guys hear it, is that right there. You heard that transition in the exhaust note? Let's hear it again. That is the VTEC in this bike. So I guess that provides us a good chance to segue into the next part. Specs on the bike. So the bike itself makes 100 horsepower at like 10,000 RPM. After that, it tanks. And I'll have a little dyno chart up on the screen. And I'll also link a review down in the description of where I got it, because I believe in proper attribution. So it makes about 100 horsepower. It's got really nice brakes. I've had to bleed them because they weren't bled by the dealership, which is a bit of a bummer. But yeah, so it's got great brakes, it's got nice power, but really, again, going back to that unique aspect, it has VTEC. And for those of you who are aware from the car world, VTEC is a method by which a sports car can also be fuel efficient. It's like having an EcoBoost on the twin-turbo Raptor. It will help limit some of the unnecessary gas use of a sports machine when you don't need it. So how VTEC works is below 6,500 RPM, you're using 2 valves per cylinder. This is a V4, so we have 4 cylinders for a total of 8. Now above 6,500 RPM, we're using 4 valves per cylinder for a total of 16. And what that essentially does is it doubles the power output. It's not exactly double, but it kind of feels like it. You know, just using the butt dyno. I've actually never had this particular motorcycle dynoed. But yeah, according to the butt dyno, it feels like about double the horsepower, which is awesome because, you know, I can just tool around, but whenever I want it, I can crack open the throttle and it's there for me. So that's really the thing that's this bike's unique selling point, is the VTEC. Now, getting into some of the reasons why I think this, or some of the flaws in this motorcycle, because, you know, nothing's perfect, unfortunately. This bike's biggest flaw is, again, related to VTEC. It's this really weird dichotomy where something good results in something bad or weird, depending on your outlook. I kind of consider it more weird than bad because I've essentially fixed the problem, but I'll flash that dyno chart again. It has 2 power bands. It's got a non-VTEC power band, and it's got a VTEC one, and you'll see there's a massive difference between the two. And when it hits VTEC, it's basically like hitting a wall of power. There's this big surge where you crack it open and the bike just goes, you know, it's gone. You know, it's not like hitting 15,000 RPM on a CBR 1000 double R or anything like that. You know, we're not putting down over 200 horse, but it's still weird. Now, I've said I've fixed it. How did I fix it? Well, so again, looking at that dyno chart, there's that little bit in the middle where it goes down and then it goes back up. Now what I did is I popped on a SC Project exhaust, which you should be hearing back there. You can hear how lovely that sounds. And it really, oh man, does it sound good. You know, it's got this nice throaty bass to it. It really changes the sound of the bike and the profile and the character of it. But anyway, so putting that SC Project on there basically flattened out that transition bump. It almost looks like a heartbeat monitor kind of thing. It flattened that out. And without being educated, here's what I think it did. because this bike really does have two power bands where it kind of gives up and then starts again, what I think it did is I think it improved the high-end power of the lower power band. So much so that it is equivalent to the low end of the VTEC power band. So if I'm trying really hard not to be confusing here, but it sounds kind of stupid the way I'm saying it. To summarize, it lowers the high-end power band at the beginning, and it raises the low-end power band at the end. And I think that they're roughly equivalent. So you don't really feel that dip in power so much. And really, for anybody who's on a VFR and doesn't like that transition, because it took me a long time to really, I don't know, get over it when I had the stock muffler on there, put a slip-on exhaust on there. Don't delete the cat, just put a slip-on exhaust, and tell me if that doesn't fix it. I think it will. I really think it will. But yeah, so that's how I fixed that dual power band problem. Now the second problem I had with this bike is the mirrors. And you can probably see in my left-hand mirror here that I've got a pretty good view of my elbow. You know, it's pretty well there. Before, it was way worse. It was bad. It was real bad. Like, I couldn't use this mirror at all. And this one over here, which you may not be able to see, was less bad, but still it wasn't great. What I did was I put these SW Motovlog mirror wideners on there, and they're not exactly the prettiest things in the whole wide world, but they serve their purpose, and they serve them phenomenally. I can absolutely use my mirrors basically anywhere but deep in a turn. You know, I can see behind me just by clicking my shoulder in, or my elbow in, and I can see so far behind me that I can see the opposite side of the road over there, which is really cool. I couldn't do that before, and you really don't appreciate your mirrors until you can't use them. And you know, a lot of people would be like, well, you got to get bar-end mirrors. Well, I don't want bar-end mirrors. First of all, this bike has integrated turn signals. You can't see them here, but on the front end I have running light out here and turn signal right there. And you know, why delete that to make yourself less visible? And second of all, the way the handlebars are done, I'd have to look way down to see a mirror right here. I don't want to do that. So that's why I went with mirror wideners. Again, they're not pretty, but boy do they do their job, and they do them great. I wouldn't trade them for anything. They're a bit on the pricey side for what is essentially some like high quality ABS plastic. They're not even metal or aluminum, I don't think. I'm pretty sure they're just ABS molded plastic. So $90 is kind of a steep ask, but having paid for it, they really are worth the money. And then the final aesthetic change that I made to the motorcycle is this windscreen, this Puge windscreen. The old one stopped like right here. This one obviously is nice and tall, and it does a pretty good job of tossing the air up to my helmet instead of at my chest. Now, unfortunately, you know, you can feel the wind and follow it to basically right at the chin of my helmet. You know, you just feel with your hand where the wind goes, and it goes right to the chin. So if I was doing some long miles, I would want to get a further mirror extender that I can basically put, or not a mirror extender, a windscreen extender that clips on here and here and will allow me to basically vent even more air up. It'll be a lip like that, and it'll send air right over my helmet. And then I'll be sitting in a pocket of just totally calm air, which it will save my ears, because you know, I always wear earplugs, but it's still loud on the highway. So I'll be saving my ears, and I'll be saving my neck from, you know, being buffeted by the wind. But that's really only if I plan on throwing down real big miles on it. And then the last thing that I did, you know, this is just something that you have to do as basic maintenance, is I ended up swapping the tires. Interesting story about this bike is based on what I saw in the title. This motorcycle began life in Chicago, Illinois, or just outside, and was sold by the owner. Perhaps it scared him or her, or wasn't what they wanted, because Chicago gets cold as hell in the winter. Whatever, I'm not going to speculate. But basically, it started out in Chicago, Illinois, and was sold to a Subaru dealership for, I'm assuming, a Subaru. But yeah, so it ended up at a Subaru dealership, and what are they going to do with a motorcycle? So they sold it at auction, and it went to a dealership in Arizona. And from there, they couldn't sell it, so it was sold at auction yet again to a dealership here in Austin, Texas, Woods Fun Center. Well, they were formerly Woods Fun Center. They're now Ride Now. Where I bought it. So I'm theoretically the fourth owner. Technically, I'll be the fifth because I have a lien on the bike, or a loan. I'm a lien holder of a loan on the bike. So technically the bank owns it, so I'll be the fifth owner of it. And in all those years, from 2014 to 2019, it never saw more than 1,500 miles. I bought it with 1,440 miles on it, which is, for a Honda, basically brand new. The engine's barely broken in. So I had a fresh, brand new bike. But the tires were the same rubber from 2014. They had gotten kind of hard, and of course it had sat in a dealership, so there was a flat spot that I could feel. So I put on, at the suggestion of Yami Noob, I put on a set of Bridgestone S22s, the Battle Axe tire, and my God, does it feel so good. It's unreal how good it feels in a turn now. So yeah, that's kind of the story behind this bike and my ownership of it. I do expect... Oh, shit. It's kind of easy to stall when it gets hot. But I'm also a bonehead, so that doesn't help. So that's the story of the bike, how it came to me. And just, you know, a general idea of what you will be seeing occasionally on the channel. I expect it to be a decently common guest whenever I want to do, you know, a channel update. I'd rather go out and ride than sit in my computer chair. It really all just depends on how this is received and what y'all think of it. So, go ahead and let me know, and until then, I will catch you guys later, and I will be battling traffic all the way home.